All right, hey, what's up, B&B family? We are back again. This is your boy, B Rax in the house. I got my man Mel-Bone there at the bottom. I got my man B Rent as well over here to the left. Man, we got a nice show here for you today. We got a couple of new topics that we're going to discuss. Also, a couple of little tributes that we're going to discuss as well. Some people that have passed, so we're going to give them their time and talk about them just a little bit today. So y'all, just to kind of give you a little bit of a rundown of what we're going to talk about. The first thing we're going to mention, we got sports with Mel. We're also going to talk about Biden and what he's done with his first week in office, what Bernice King said about her father, the cancellation of student debt, or the Simpsons' weird
Once
prediction.
again, basically.
Once again, yes, once
Yeah,
again.
once again, right.
They must have
Uh,
some prophets working in their team.
Right. Exactly. And so these are just some of the topics we're going to talk about today. And man, hopefully, we can learn something from each other. If you guys have any input, please send that and hit us up with that as well. You can follow us at B.M.B. Tell It Like It Is. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We also have a Instagram as well. And also go to Z Radio Live on Tuesdays at 4. That's where you guys can hear us. We have a show there as well. Man, y'all, let's get started. Mel, I know you got some things with sports. So what's going on with the sports world?
What's going on, guys? B&B Sports Edition, sports portion, I should say. Well, of course, you guys know the divisional round, well, conference championships in the NFL are happening on Sunday. Of course, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady versus the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers.
Mm.
Those two of the elder statesmen in the NFL. I think Tom Brady is 43, I believe, and Aaron Rodgers is 37. I know 37 doesn't seem really old, but of course, in NFL and professional sports, it is. Even 43 is not old, but like again, in professional sports, it's you up there, you a little bit past your prime, but not him and his how he keeps himself in shape and with the TB12 diet and all that stuff there. Then you have the young guns. On the other side, the Buffalo
Hmm.
Bills take on the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. I haven't heard too much. I know everybody knows that he got Patrick was hurt last week.
He's cleared.
Is he cleared now?
Hmm.
Okay. So now you know how the NFL does. He's cleared, but is he really 100%? We won't find out until they play on Sunday. So we'll see. But two guys who are really good, up and coming. Both of them have super great arms, um, and so it's going to be a nice matchup on both sides. The Bills have a really good defense, as well as their offense. And of course, everybody knows about the Chiefs' offense. It's just the fact of which defense is going to be able to stop the other team's offense. So we'll see that. And I do want to talk about one of the special tributes that we had brought up earlier on the introduction, and that is Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron, one of baseball's huge figures and legends in the game. He has passed away. He passed away on yesterday, on January the 22nd. Um, a little bit about his passing. Uh, his birthday is actually February 5th, so it's
Hmm.
just a couple of weeks out. So apparently, he went and got vaccinated for the COVID-19, and then on January the 5th, and then of course he died on the 22nd. So just a few weeks after he got vaccinated, he passed away. I don't. I'm not sure if that was directly a contributor to what his death or what, but those are the facts on his death. A little bit about Hank Aaron. I'm gonna give you some stats, which uh, pretty astounding stats. Of course, for the longest time he was a home run league home run leader of all time for a while. He has 755 home runs. He has 240 stolen bases. That's a lot. Um, on base percentage, he batted 300 on base percentage. So basically, he got on base a lot. That is like super great. Uh, he had over 12,000 at bats. Um, he batted in over 2,100 runs, almost 2,200 runs. Um, over almost 2,300 RBIs. So I mean,
Mm, wow.
this dude has a lot of stats. 22 seasons professionally. He played in 25 All-Star games. So that means he played in a few All-Star games that wasn't the Major League Baseball, because uh, I'm sure he was in the Negro leagues before he was in the Major League Baseball. You know, and I know, Brent, you said you had some information about him, about what he had to go through uh, in baseball due to him being black and him playing back in those times.
Well, first of all, one thing I can say about the Negro League, and congratulations to the Negro League. Finally, their stats will be involved in the national in baseball and in is
Major League Baseball,
Major
yeah,
League Baseball. So
absolutely, yeah,
hopefully, with that, you're gonna see a lot of things changing. Where you're gonna see a lot of our our heroes on top,
right,
because let's just be honest. The Major League reason why it was called Major League because it was white, and because they had the larger stadiums, they had the money.
right,
Negro League didn't have all that; they just had the power,
Mhm.
and they had the talent. And you had to realize in Hank Aaron, Jackie Robinson's day, they were still dealing with Jim Crow.
hmm,
And who is the besides Jackie Robinson and Hank Aaron, one of the top uh, um, figures in Major League is Babe Ruth.
yeah,
Mhm.
And on the verge of Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's record, the hate mail that he received was crazy.
They're telling him
And
they didn't want him to hit. They didn't
yeah,
want
they
him to
didn't want
break
him
it.
to break his record. They didn't want him to break a white man's record. They didn't want him to. They didn't want him in the league. Period. But you know what? He had to
That's
overcome that.
mhm.
Thank you, Braxton. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And he had to, continue and go ahead. So, Aaron faced in the early '70s was as strong as he close on to Babe Ruth's all-time career record of 714 home runs, and received so much mail and hate mail filled with death threats that the U.S. Postal Service gave him a plaque for the flood of hate mail that he was getting.
They gave him a
So,
plaque for hate mail.
yeah, a plaque, according to
that's
what CNN reported.
that's
And then it
terrible.
said, these are just some examples of some of the things that he received. He said, I hope you don't break Babe's record. How do I tell my kids that a nigger did
Mm,
it?
right.
I'm reading what they said, and
Mm,
then it said this note is signed to KKK forever.
yeah.
You are not going to break this record established by Babe Ruth if I can help it. And
That's a threat
whites,
right there.
yeah, that's a threat. Whites are far more superior than niggers. My gun is watching your every black move. So I remember just watching a documentary, and this was a long time ago on Hank Aaron, and it was talking about his mother. And his mother, the moment when he broke the record, he gave his mom a hug, and she told him, because of course I'm pretty sure she knew about. I mean, he telling mom this is what I'm getting, and she said I want to, she hugged him. She said if they gonna take you out right here, they're gonna take me out with you. I'm gonna be holding my child.
Right.
So these are just some of the things that our greats have had to deal with. And Hank Aaron said, I forgive, but I don't forget. Because he said he held on to these letters. Some people say, why do you do that? He said, why not? You
Probably
know,
motivation.
it was right motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
So, he broke Babe Ruth's record, and in his last days, he was still fighting because it was said that he in Jackson, Mississippi, that he was the black schools in Jackson, Mississippi, he was wanting to put fields on those schools so those children could have somewhere to play and to learn baseball. So he
Okay.
was still down for the cause. And it also, I remember Roland Martin did an interview with him and Andrew Young, and then Roland was just talking with him, chatting with him, and he said, "How do you feel about Colin Kaepernick?" He said, "Well, Colin Kaepernick is what he's doing is great. It needs to be done." And he said, "Have you ever talked with him?" He said, "No." So Roland called Colin right there, and they talked. He said they talked for about 30 minutes to an hour, just talking, and just him showing appreciation what he was doing for the movement, and to know that it's not in vain. And we're gonna kind of get a little bit more in that, talking about what Reverend Bernice King said about her father. So Hank Aaron, Henry Aaron, that was his name.
Hmm.
You you and my heart was hurt because I mean, yet he was old, but still, yet these are our greats, and they're checking out of here. And God is calling them home, but we got to make sure we're in place to keep the legacy alive of our great African American heroes, that we give them their flowers while they live, that we continue the work that they're doing, and not be afraid. And it is fearful. It is. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure it's fearful, even in today's time, with this
Hmm.
mess that's still yet going on today, with these rebellious spirits talking about they're doing God's will, in which they are not. We have to make sure we um, just continue to tell the truth, because the truth will
Right.
prevail. So we do thank Hank Aaron for all he contribute to our culture, to the fight that he continued,
Yep.
and just him as a man. They said he was a humble man. He didn't put no airs. He wasn't an arrogant type person, especially after he retired. He just was just a regular brother
Yeah.
in Atlanta, living
Yep.
his life, trying to make it. So all
Right.
hats and to Hank Aaron, and
Yeah.
legacy continue.
Right. And I think, in my opinion, I think we should have more. Baseball is not a predominantly white league anymore, but
Hmm.
to be completely honest with you, it's not a predominantly black league either. There's not a lot of black, like African
Right.
American
Yes,
people who
sir.
actually
Yes,
play
sir.
baseball,
And you know
because
what, Meldrick? It's funny you said that, because they was talking about that yesterday, and they asked Hank Aaron this years ago. He said because of the number of blacks that are not coming into the league, and Hank said, "I'm worried about that." He
right,
said, "I'm very worried about that." And he talked to the leagues higher up, saying you have to do more to get more African Americans into this league, because we're getting next
right,
to none.
right. And I'm gonna be honest with you,
Hmm.
knowing me growing up playing baseball. I know Braxton played baseball as well, but then even talking to some of the people we went to school with, because I got two cousins that played baseball, uh, and went on to play in college and and professionally, but there was not a lot of even without high school, there was not a lot of black people who played
Right.
baseball. Everybody was pushed to play basketball and football.
Football.
And then honestly, if you looked at the baseball team, if you looked at baseball pitches, you would see spots of
Right.
black people, but it wasn't a majority.
Mm.
Even and that's honestly that's almost everywhere. Unless you at a predominantly black school,
Exactly.
you're not gonna have a predominantly black baseball team. It's just that everybody, because here's the main thing with baseball. People always say baseball is boring. I mean, I understand where they come from because it's not a constant action, but I think it's it's a fun sport. You learn a lot. To me, I think baseball is the fundamental sport for any sport. You learn how to play any sport by
Yeah,
learning how
you
to play
said that
baseball.
before.
Right. And so I mean, I think we should try to get more kids, more black kids into baseball. I mean, because if you think about it, man, baseball is probably the sport that you could play the longest and you would make the most money. It's like people don't realize them baseball players make a lot of money because you can sign up for a team and play 10 years and
Right.
make over $100 something million in those 10 years versus if you're a running back playing football, you might have 5 years and they pay you, you make a lot of money, but not as much money because you'll be able to make that money over a longer period of time. So I think baseball uh should be a sport that we try to get our kids in our communities to play. We I guess we have to figure out a way to make it to where it's enticing to them. But I guess teaching them about history on baseball and about the history with black people in baseball. So maybe that'll be a way to get those kids into baseball. So
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Hank Aaron was old when he retired.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. He played 22 years. So, all right, yeah, cool. So let's move on to the next topic, y'all. Larry King passed away today, actually. He was 87. I believe Hank Aaron was 86. So both of them in their
Right.
They were
80s.
around the same
Yeah,
age.
around the
Yeah.
same age, around the same age. And so I know you read up on some things about Larry King. I believe his career started in 1985 to about 2010, but he
Right.
got
And
back
for
into doing some
CNN.
things, yeah, for
Uh-huh.
CNN. So what did you kind of learn
Online.
about Larry
Right.
King when you were reading
Well,
about him?
one one thing about Larry King, just watching his show on CNN and then hearing him, the man did over 40,000 interviews altogether, 6,000 or 9,000 with CNN. So this man was the who to do interviews with celebrities and political figures and who had will have you, even folks that was famous but not famous for the right reason, like Monica Lewinsky or Paris Hilton or
And I can
those type of folk.
I can real quick, I can
Mm-hmm.
agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I can believe that because I'm gonna be honest with you. Anytime, because I want to say on the cable here in the Central Texas area, I believe it's like channel 23 or 24 or something like that. I remember even in high school and on up, just changing the channel, and then next thing I know, it was like almost every day I would turn by
Larry.
and I would see Larry King live, Larry King
Yeah,
live, and
same, huh?
he had a different person on there every single time. I'm like, man, this dude talked to everybody.
Right.
It was like hey, you always saw LarryKing live on there all the time. So that 40,000 interview, it sounds about right.
Right,
I
right.
can believe it.
Yes, sir. And what us doing, what we're doing, this is even before Larry King died. I was always looking at some of the greats that did interviews and did radio shows and stuff. Like, what was the thing that they did to prepare? And Larry King's thing was not to overly prepare, not to overdo it.
Mhm.
He's like say for instance, if Michael Jackson, he interviewed Michael Jackson, he was promoting his book. Larry King said, I wouldn't read it. I'm not going to be overly prepared. Because
Right.
he said, if I get to the point where I'm so overly prepared, it's time to quit. So that's one thing from learning things about Larry King and how he did his things with interviewing people was not to be overly prepared and to always be a listening ear when you're in the chair talking to an interviewing somebody. Because he said that relaxes. He said that relaxed me, but he said it also relaxed the person who he was interviewing. It made them feel safe. That's why he has 40,000 interviews.
Right.
And when a celebrity wanted to talk about something that had been breaking in their life, it was two people they were going to go to that they felt safe with. One was Larry King, and the other one was Oprah. So, Larry King, he set the stage. I think he started off in Miami and just trying to get a break in the radio. Finally got his break. I think he got arrested for embezzlement. Once that cleared, he got right back into doing it. Then in '85, Ted King is the man who owns CNN. Brought him on to CNN in 1985. And here we go. We had the legend Larry King. So hats off to you, sir, for everything you've done. You interviewed everybody from you interviewed the King, but Coretta Scott King. I think he was the one that interviewed the man that was accused of killing Dr. King. And I think they were sitting with him. They said they didn't believe that he killed, you killed our father. He interviewed all the presidents, all the presidents, and one of his highest rating interviews was it was a NAFTA interview with Ross Perot and Al Gore. 11 million views. Never seen that on cable news. So, this man was known for getting those interviews that wasn't nobody getting it. Like I said, was he gonna be him or Oprah? So
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
And it seemed like every time he did an interview, he kept a straight face the whole
Yeah.
time. He was like he was just
Yeah. He's always
down to
relaxed.
strictly
He's
business.
always
Yeah.
Right.
very
He was
relaxed
relaxed.
and comfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fun fact about Larry King, his real name is Lawrence Harvey Ziegler.
Right.
Yeah, born in 1933. So he was actually Jewish.
Mhm.
So that's something I didn't know about him. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, let's move on, y'all. So there was a post, Brent, that you sent us from Bernice King. She made a post about her father. That post that Bernice King made says, "Please don't act like everyone loved my father. He was assassinated. A 1967 poll reflected that he was one of the most hated men in America. Most hated. Many quote him now and evoke him to deter justice. Today would likely hate, and maybe already hate, the authentic king."
If y'all haven't, there is a documentary that just came out. I sent y'all the poster. It's called MLK FBI.
Mhm.
It goes in deep on how the FBI just J. Edgar Hoover was trying to ruin this man. And they saying in 2027 they're going to come out with some recordings of Dr. King in a room where a pastor was in with a woman and he was sitting in there laughing. I'm gonna say this on that. Anything coming from J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, I'm not gonna believe it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I can't
In
believe
2027.
in 2027.
So if
So
it's so what? How come they can't do it now?
right,
They haven't doctored it up enough to where they can make it sound like it's real.
exactly.
Mhm.
Edit it, doctor it, and all that could because let's not be fooled. With J. Edgar Hoover, everything he did was immoral, unethical, and illegal. But with him being running the FBI, he could do it. So I don't want to get away from what Bernice King said, but that documentary on Dr. King with dealing with the FBI was awesome. If y'all have not checked it out, please do. On anything you can stream and to rent it and check it out. But
Yes.
let's dive into
Yeah.
this. We just got through celebrating Dr. King's birthday, Dr. King Day, on top of the inauguration. And then this the same day, Reverend Bernice King, the youngest daughter of Dr. and Coretta Scott King, put this post out. And you know what? I totally agree.
Yeah.
So what part do you agree with on the post, Brent?
Well, don't act, I mean, in
Mhm.
1967, when Dr. King came out against the Vietnam War,
Mhm.
he became J. Edgar Hoover had already named him the most dangerous Negro in America. But with this was just like the icing on the cake, you speaking against the war.
Mhm.
And I'm like, Dr. King had an approval rating like he was a president. I think it was like what Trump's approval rating is now, 38, 40%, something like
Mhm.
that. And, you know, my thing is, we look at men like Dr. King and Muhammad Ali
Yeah.
as public enemy number one back in those days fighting against the Vietnam War. But today, what do we call Muhammad Ali? Was truly the greatest.
Yeah.
When the man died, they couldn't stop crying and giving tributes over Muhammad Ali. Every year, Dr. King was this, Dr. King was that. And some of them same preachers that are saying that now, back in those days, had stopped associating themselves with Dr. King because he spoke out against the Vietnam War. Oh, the white folks, they were fine with you talking about civil rights and wanting the people to come together. But once you started talking about a war,
Mhm.
oh, Oh. Oh, so what's the problem now? Same way how we also like in 20, 30 years from now, are we gonna look at Colin Kaepernick as the hero that we already know him to be? Are
No,
we
he
gonna look
will.
at
He
him?
will be looked at as a hero. People, you see how people act toward him now, but
Right.
20, 30 years from now, he's going to be revered almost probably like a Dr. King. I mean, he sacrificed his job, like
His career, yeah.
his career. He sacrificed it, and he's not going to get that opportunity again. And
Yeah.
so, people like kind of like she was saying, and like you were saying, there's people out here who really don't like Colin Kaepernick and what he stood
Yeah.
for. But years from now, people are going to be quoting him, wearing
Yeah.
probably wearing his jerseys. He'll be
Yeah.
revered. He definitely will go down in history.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like Bernice King, she looking at all this celebration of her father, like, man, get this BS out of here. Cause in the last year of his life, y'all didn't like nothing about my father.
Right.
Right. And that's true. Yeah, that's true. You got some of these people out here quoting Dr. King and how we need to unify, and some of these people,
And have no idea.
yeah, they have no idea. Have no idea. And we've been trying to unify for the longest, and now they're just now talking about what
Right.
Dr. King said and trying to unify other
Mm-hmm.
countries. And
Right.
so it's
And
crazy.
and it's fun. It's funny. All those Republicans that voted to overturn the election all had some type of quote about Dr. King. And I'm like, man, if you don't get this BS off of here,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that might have been what she was referring to.
that might have been what she was
Is
referring
what some of
to.
these Republicans are doing now, trying to
Mm-hmm.
unify the country when they were just not too long ago dividing everyone or
Right.
getting behind
Jump
someone who was real divisive. Yeah.
trying trying to take over the Capitol.
Or trying to take over the capital, or trying to take over the
Exactly.
country. Yeah, let's not
Yeah,
unify the
exactly.
country.
That's
Yeah.
right,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
I
want to
just
see it.
I just thought that was very interesting. And to me, for myself, I've always had an issue with that. You know, we look at these greats, Malcolm X, Dr. King, Muhammad Ali, who the brother that the two brothers when they won the Olympics and they did the Black Power sign,
Oh yeah.
they couldn't find no more work after that. They were ostracized from their families,
Yeah.
and it's like my mom was talking to me about this. She said when you're go against the grain of the salt, you're gonna become that target, but then later on, you like what you just said, Braxton, you'll be seen as almost like I don't want to say a god, but like a figure, a
Hmm.
positive figure. But right
Yeah.
now, you're a negative figure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Tommy
reminds me of
Smith.
a quote from and for you people who don't know, um, we're Christians, so we listen to church people, and pastors
We
and things.
do.
So there is a don't say that. So there is a there's a guy, Bishop Jordan. So he says the saying was
Oh,
that
okay.
you have to be recognized as a false prophet, I believe, before you can become a true prophet or a real prophet. And it goes something like that.
Right.
And maybe I'm quoting it wrong. And so you have to be, people are going to ridicule you, especially when you step out and do things like that before your time or before people are actually ready for
Right.
it. People are gonna look at
Because
you, funny, like you don't know what you're doing, but soon they'll realize that this guy or this person was actually on to something or doing the right thing.
right.
Yeah.
And funny you brought up Archbishop Bernard Jordan. He wrote about this pandemic back in the 80s. He wrote about Barack Obama becoming president back in the 80s. He talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now it's coming to pass, and people start to say, "Oh, prophet, you were right." And I'm man, I'm pretty sure if he wanted to be petty, he really would, but he
Mhm.
can't do that. But he just
Yeah.
had to say, "This is the word of the Lord. This is what I received back in the 80s."
Hmm.
And I'm just telling you what thus says the Lord. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. And you guys can go to his website. I believe it. I don't know if he still has the book there
Oh
available.
yeah,
It's
it's
called
still up there.
like the end time judgments or the
Mm-hmm.
something about the judgments that he's wrote like prophecies years ago about things that
Right.
are happening right now. So it's definitely something to look into. But yeah, man, it's crazy that I don't know. Did you have those Republicans wanting unify everyone now, and using MLK quotes. So
Those
Hmm.
and those two guys you mentioned in the Olympics was Tommy Smith and John Carlos.
Yes,
That was
sir.
in 1968, the 1968 Olympics, Summer Olympics. Those are the two guys who raised their fists after running in the 200 meters. So yeah,
mhm.
and I'm sure back then, of course, those guys were ridiculed for what they did, and of course now we use that as a symbolism for a lot of different
Right.
things. So
Yeah, these guys are they're treated wrong, after it happens. I guess it's because
right,
like the world's not ready for it, or they
Hmm.
they figure you should do it a different way. You shouldn't do it that way.
right.
But then years later, they're rewarded for it, and people actually
Mm.
embrace them. So it's sad because these people lose their careers and they lose their livelihood, and sometimes family because of it.
Right.
Only
Right.
to later be, for people to start respecting them. So but yeah, let's move on. So there has been, some good news. Inauguration did take place. If you guys did not watch it, there was a lot of good things that happened at the inauguration. I actually liked it. Watching it, it was more of a digital inauguration this time because of the whole COVID scare, and with the what would you call them, uh, the neo Civil War uh,
Hmm.
Nazi terrorists, Trump
Hmm.
supporters who stormed the Capitol on the on the 6th.
Right.
So they had to make sure everyone was protected. But yeah, I mean there was a lot of highlights. There was the singers. They had Lady Gaga. She sung the national anthem. You had the black poet. Um, her
Amanda Gorman.
name was Amanda Gorman. She did a good
Amazing.
Amanda Gorman.
job. Um, and it was just all around a good affair. But so Biden's done some things within his first
Three
days as
days.
president. So Brent, I mean, or Mel, if y'all have something on that, what did y'all kind of want to
Um,
bring up?
well, just the thing with all those, he joined the Paris climate. He rejoined that. That's the executive order that he signed. He
Hmm.
also signed for what else? It's been almost over 30 executive orders that he signed over. I can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
But first off, it's just good to say President Biden,
Yeah.
and it's good to
Right.
say Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one thing I can say. Um, and all these super woke folks talking about Biden, y'all act like people can't change.
Right.
You
And of course, you knew they were referring to what he did many years
with the
ago.
crime bill and
Yeah.
all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, with Anita Hill and stuff. Yes, I get that. He needs to be held accountable for that. But you act like people can't change, or hopefully he can rewrite wrong, um, or try to. But the thing is, people change, their hearts change, you change.
And and something stupid that I saw. I don't know. I can't remember why. I can't remember where I saw it at. But I saw something where it says since Joe Biden has been president, America has over 400,000 Americans
Yes,
have
I
died.
posted that.
Oh, was it
It
you?
was
I
It
it
was
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 like, you
Fox.
Fox
gotta be.
News. Fox News, what they that they are so good at using the truth to tell a lie. What it said was, since Joe Biden has, like what you just said, Meldrick,
Since he's been
400 Americans have died.
400,000 Americans have died since
400,000.
he
Yeah.
Yeah,
become
400,000
since
Americans
he
have
since he's
died.
become since he's been president. He just became president 3 days ago. Like those people were.
They're
You don't
just
have.
mad. They're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
mad because
People
And then
Trump
just.
you
lost.
got people like Tucker Carlson, with the guest he had talking about. He said the speech was good, but he said I just don't understand him talking about racism and white supremacy. Tucker Carlson, what's saying what is white supremacy? Well, if you got to ask all that, then you part of the problem to me. Then
Right.
if what the dude that he had on there that was mad about Joe Biden bringing up white supremacy, if that makes you that mad, I guess a hit dog will holler.
Yeah. Like.
Hmm.
I don't. What is white supremacy? That's like
Hmm.
saying, oh, what is a burning building? And like I don't know. Like something super obvious, and you just ignore it like it's nothing
Right.
because you probably are a part of it. That's why
Exactly.
you're a part of it.
Right.
If you can't see the problem, you are a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for everything, and I'm glad the Democrats, they have the House, the Senate, and the White House. But the thing is, with Democrats that drive me crazy, get a backbone, be
Right.
strong. Chuck Schumer, you need to be strong. You got 2 years to get some things done. You have the Senate. You have the Senate with Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker.
Hmm.
There are some things that you can get done,
Yeah.
and that I remember seeing now Senate Minority Leader Turkey Neck Mitch McConnell
Hmm.
um, talking about the deficit. You ain't care nothing about the deficit these last 4 years. I don't want to hear that. If there's only one thing I want to hear Democrats tell Republicans, and it's the line that Della Reese gave on Harlem Nights when she told Richard Pryor when she was stuck in jail, "Kiss my entire blue." That's what Democrats need to be telling Republicans. We got the power. We gonna show we got the power. When y'all had it, y'all didn't mind flaunting it. Y'all didn't mind letting us know we had the power. You did. You put all them judges in there. And 8 days after Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, you sneaked in a Supreme Court justice. So I don't want to
Yeah.
hear. I really don't want to hear.
Yeah, they got a tall task. I mean, the Senate, Schumer, Harris, Biden, they got a tall task in front of them. They got
Mhm.
a
They
lot
got
of
it.
work
They
to do.
right.
But I'm
And
glad that
get
they're
this,
in
y'all.
office. Yeah.
Basically, we're going at this thing
The right way now.
the right way, but now it's like we're starting from scratch, and
Well, yeah.
400,000 people are dead. They
Right.
said they did not have a plan. The Trump administration did not have a plan, a clear plan for the coronavirus.
Probably,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, yeah, everybody knows it because it wasn't treated as it should have been treated.
True,
When
right?
it
Yeah.
trickles down from the head to the rest of the body. So when the head blew it off, everybody else did, and then we got blindsided by it, and so we are where we are now because of that. So
Because of leadership.
but right, because of leadership, and so now that we have new leadership, hopefully we'll go ahead and get this
Right.
thing done correctly, and we can get people taken care of. So
So let's move on to the next topic. This one is the cancellation of student loan debt and what it could do for the Black community.
And you know
So,
what?
yeah. Mhm.
The thing with y'all, go ahead, go ahead. I'll
Go ahead.
wait.
Go
I have a
ahead.
question.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys can answer it or not,
Uh-huh.
but I have a question. So, when the cancellation of student debt, is that people who are in debt now, or is that future debt? Let's just say, for example, people who are getting ready to go to college, or somebody who
Uh-huh.
wants to go back to school, and they have to get a student loan. Are their debts going to be, once they finish? Are their debts going to be forgiven and canceled, or what? Or is it
That's part
just
of the
people?
conversation.
Right.
Because I know they were talking about, I mean, the people who have debt now, but also future students and how much money it would take. It would
Right.
be so many trillions of dollars right now to take all students out of debt.
Mm-hmm.
And then
1.9, I
future,
think.
yeah, it was something like 1.7 and 1.9 trillion to get everyone out of debt right now. But future students, they were saying it would be so many billions of dollars, like 100 and so many billion for future students every year to take care of their debt
And then
going
also
forward.
to mention the uh, debt-free college for going to state college.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I
They were
think
talking about that.
that is a part of the Biden Harris plan for debt-free college, especially for community college and state institutions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah.
then like this whole thing is just canceling debt that we have,
Hmm.
you know. So what it and come to and the little research that I've done about it, Biden doesn't need Congress to do. He can this could be one of them executive orders he could do.
Right.
It's to
Yeah.
cancel student debt. I thought he would have to have Congress, the House. It can be done by executive order. And if I'm wrong, I'll come back next week and say I was wrong. But from
Hmm.
what I read so far, it can be signed by executive order. So how does this help African Americans because we are more in student debt than anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because me and more than likely somebody uh, of color had to uh, get a loan in order to
Mm,
go to school. You don't have a lot of people with trust funds or people who had parents who had their college paid for already. So most of the time, in order for us to go to school and get a higher education, we had to borrow money. So that's a big relief off of our shoulders, as if us having to figure out how to pay that money back that we borrowed to
right,
improve ourselves.
Hmm.
So and a lot of people want to improve themselves because the ball is already against us from the get go. So we got to improve ourselves to have any kind of shot in life. So to me, I think that is one of the main effects for for Black people in the Black community is just being able to have that uh, relief.
No, right. And kind of like what y'all both said, Brent, African
because
Americans
oh,
are in more student loan debt than any other, or than whites. I know minorities own more student loan debt. And even I was trying to look up the demographic for the household income. I know African Americans earn less than
oh yeah,
other household incomes. And
it's
so that would
pennies,
help too. There'd be more income in the household. We
right?
could purchase more, buy more homes, things like that. So it could definitely help African American community out if we didn't have to pay those student loans back.
Right.
Yeah.
So and this is an article that I read in News One now. It says today more than 45 million people and hold one it's 1.7 trillion dollars in student debt.
Hmm.
Black and brown people owe overwhelmingly more majority of that debt, including many who were unable to graduate. So just think, you
Yeah.
know what it is, how it is when we first go. We think we want to go to college. We doing all these loans, and then come to find out college ain't for us. But then you still got this mountain of debt that you have to pay back.
Right.
Hmm.
Even before the pandemic, millions of people defaulted on their loans every year. Post COVID, it was even harder for people to afford their monthly payments. So,
What article is that, Brent?
News One.
News One. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, I mean, it, it's hard. And
Because
just think if, go ahead, Mel.
I was gonna say, because don't they give you what 6 months?
6 weeks or
Six.
6 months after you graduate
I
when
think
you
it's
can.
You
well.
can
I guess
you can default on them.
right. Yeah, you can. I think
Or put
because
them in deferment. I'm sorry. You have 6 months. You can put them in deferment. The deferment, if
Mhm.
you do it before the 6 month period, would allow you to keep deferring it for as long as you want to. If you don't put them in deferment within that 6 month period, then you have to start paying them back once that 6 months hits.
right.
And you don't really have the option to defer unless you go back to school. Um, and I don't know what other reasons you would have where you can defer, but I think going back to school counts.
Well, if you don't have a job,
Or if you don't, yeah, if you're
right?
not working.
Right.
So
Yeah,
those are the reasons. But yeah,
and I think I want to say, and you can, of course, you have the deferment as well, but I think you can set it up to where even before you graduate, I guess if you're working, you can make payments on your student
yeah,
debt as well.
you can.
But like I said, but most of the time, unless you were in a technical school where they're helping you find a job, or even before you're finished, most of these jobs, and because a lot of people go to school, they get a general education and
Mm-hmm.
or they get a business degree and or something like that where they might not have a job as soon as they graduate. They have to
Right.
go through a search period to find a job after they graduate. And so I mean in that time period, is hard, because I don't have a job and I just looked at my student debt and I owe, a whole lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
they want to get their career started. They want to be able to make money, but they got to pay money, before they even get a chance to make money. So
Yeah, that's the story of a lot of students, especially minorities.
Right.
You'll hear that a lot. So I see why a lot of minorities are really pushing um, for that student loan debt cancellation because that would really help income, really help us have more money to just purchase and buy things with.
right.
So. It's definitely a big deal. Yeah, and you just don't when you're going to school, you don't always realize, man, some of these private schools and some of
Right.
these other schools, man, they cost a lot of money, and so you got to pay all that back as soon as you're done.
And just think if your parents, you're doing those parent plus loans, and your parents or the grandparents are on those loans. Some of these grandparents, their social security are getting garnished for student loan because the
Hmm.
child can't pay it back, so it goes on the parent.
Yeah,
You know, the
next they
parent,
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another added stress on the black community. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of our grandparents, they're getting their social security garnished because their grandchild couldn't pay back the loan, so it's on them.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you an example. There's a TV show that I watch called Grownish, which is a spinoff of the TV show Blackish, with with
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Anderson and Tracy Ellis Ross,
Mm-hmm.
where one of the guys in the one of the characters, he's a year older than everybody else, and so he was in his senior year, and he went to the dean's office. And, he had completed all his courses and all that, so he went to the dean's office, and he was in there talking to the dean, and he was like, "Okay, well, here's your completion of college, and we want you to sign here, to certify that, and to certify that you agreed to pay back your student loans." And so, he got the piece of paper, and he's looking at it, and he looked at the number. It was like 200 and some $1,000. I was
And
like,
that's real.
right. And I was like, he said, "What's this?" He was like, "What's this?" He said, "This ain't my social security number." And he was like, "I know that." He said, "That's what you owe." He was like, "What?"
God,
He's like,
dog.
I was like, "That's crazy."
Hmm.
Like, what? That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, and that's when he went into panic mode. He was like, "How in the world am I going to pay this back?" He was thinking like, I have to get a super high paying job right now. And most of the time, when you just graduating, you in entry level positions, or you in internships, where you may
Hmm.
be making a little money or no money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, that to me, that's an eye opener for a lot of people. When they see that, like, what, I got to pay this back? You got to be kidding me.
So Biden, like you say, he has a lot on his plate. Um, he's pushing just to canceling 10,000. Every little bit helps. Elizabeth Warren was counting for 50, but I think now with him in office, the pressure is on him to just cancel the whole thing, which can be done under executive order. So how can you push for that? Contact your member of Congress and say,
Yeah.
what is your thoughts on canceling student loan debt? Because just think, like you said, Braxton, if that happens, that can cancel poverty on more than half of people
Hmm.
right now. We're not supposed to go to college to be paying debt forever. You're supposed to go to college to gain a trade so you can make more money, not to pay it back.
So the Simpsons yet again made some accurate predictions over the years, and so I know you sent us this link here, just kind of with some predictions that the Simpsons made. A couple that stood out to me were the one that says the murder hornets and coronavirus. So it's
Uh-huh.
talking about in the 1993 episode, a Japanese factory worker accidentally spread a contagious Osaka flu to Springfield. And in the town, the people rush to find a cure. They accidentally knock over a van with killer bees inside. The spread of the murder hornets in America
That
has
is crazy.
coincided with the current coronavirus in 2020. The coincidence was first noticed by former Simpsons writer Bill Oakley, which is true. Yeah, you had the virus. Yeah, so I remember the
That
murder
did happen.
hornets happened around the same time when the whole big coronavirus scare was happening.
The co-
But I didn't see a murder hornet. I saw a real hornet one day, and I didn't realize how big hornets were. That thing was huge. I just happened to be able to get close enough to kill it. But man, those hornets are
Right.
huge. I would
hmm
I would not want to be stung by one of them things.
No, and see those, and they not like bees. They can keep stinging you. Bees sting you once and
Right.
then die. And
Yeah,
see, and I don't think their technical name is murder hornets, but people just give them a name because I guess because they
it
kill
can kill
people.
you. Yeah,
Well,
suddenly.
it's the walls. It's a the horse flies. It's a locust killers. That's what they're something like that. They eat horse flies.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
those suckers are big, and like you said, Mel, them things can keep
yeah.
stinging you until you die, until you. Oh God,
Until you
I
get
just wouldn't
away.
want to get popped by one of them. I call them spider killers because
Yeah,
they dig in the ground. They dig in the ground to get their food, and it could
Mhm.
be the horsefly or a spider, and then they'll drag it out and go eat it.
Yeah.
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 I one of the ones that I like the one, but they predicted Trump to be president. That was one that they predicted,
Mhm.
and of course we know the most recent one is when they had Lisa dressed up. Was
In
it
purple.
in purple with pearls? Just like Kamala Harris was dressed
That
Mhm.
was
for the
weird.
inauguration. So yeah, a lot of these things I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how to feel about it. It could be a coincidence.
Like the one I mentioned with y'all with Lady Gaga, when the way she did the Super Bowl, she could have easily went and looked at that episode of The Simpsons and been like, I like that. I'm gonna do that. But
Right,
some of these, I'm
right. Yeah,
like
that's
that
a
whole episode you just mentioned. It was called Back to the Future. It was an episode where Bart was having went back to the future on some things.
mhm.
So it's all in this one episode. First, like you just mentioned, with Lisa became president, Bart's sister,
Right.
and her outfit that she wore was a purple jumpsuit. Now, if Kamala would have wore a purple pantsuit, pantsuit, that would have been even more crazy. But still, yeah, it was purple. Lisa always is known for wearing her pearl necklace.
Right.
Mhm.
But and that's what does Kamala usually wear? Pearls, because
Pearls.
it represents the AKAs. And she had on pearl necklace with pearl earrings. And in that same episode, Lisa was coming from the Trump presidency that just ruined the country.
Mhm.
That was also in that episode. The other predictions that they predicted, they talked about the Ebola virus.
Mhm.
They talked about that. It's just weird. The iPhone watch episode was going back to the future. At least I think she was getting married, and her fiance was talking to her parents, and he was talking to them through a watch.
Mhm.
The Simpsons also predicted um, Disney buying 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
They bought it. I think they paid like $57 billion. The Simpsons predicted that years before this actually happened. I'm just like, now,
It makes you
like you said,
think.
some of this stuff is coincidence, but some stuff I'm like, Lord,
It'll make you think.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is
Maybe
weird. And
what's his name? Bill Oakley, the one that's the writer. Maybe he's like a
mhm,
low key like prophet that we don't like
maybe
on the
so.
low. Like he don't realize it
Hmm.
yet. He just got the gift, you
He
know.
just got the gift, and
Got
he
the
don't
gift.
know it's a God gift, and he in the world. So it's just weird because some of these predictions are 20 years. Like that episode I was just mentioned about the Trump presidency was
Mhm.
back in 2000, and seeing what happened in 2016, and then with Kamala Harris just a few days ago.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
That's funny. That is funny.
I almost even predicted the Super Bowl with
And the
Falcons,
Panthers.
and
Yeah.
they almost predicted that. So
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
the Simpsons. I mean, even though I wasn't supposed to be watching, my mom didn't let me watch the Simpsons, but I snuck and watched them anyway. That was my show growing up, and even today, I still go back some. Just if I'm just bored, just go back to this on Disney Plus. The Simpsons on it, so I'll check about, and I'll be like, yeah, I remember that episode when I was little. So yeah, predict
Mhm.
Simpsons predicting, yes.
All right, y'all. All right. Well, we are about to end the show. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. This is B.M.B. Tell It Like It Is. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook,
Like and
YouTube.
subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. We're on Instagram,
Z
Z
Radio
Z
Radio
Live.
Live.
Radio Live. Yeah, so
Just
Z.
download
Yeah.
Live 360 or tune in radio, and
Hmm.
in those apps, just search Z Radio Live, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear our voices, and actually, we're growing pretty good with that radio station. So it's going pretty good, but
All right.
we definitely need more support. If y'all would like to donate, go to our Cash App, B.M.B. through Empower 3.
Hmm.
$ B&B Empower 3, to donate to us so we can keep going, because we got some other things we would like to work on. So
Yeah.
every little bit helps.
Well, let's pray. Let's get out of here. Father God, we thank you for the show. We thank you for just the information, God, and just the clarity and with it, that came with it, God. We just pray that you protect everyone in our nation, God, and that you bless everyone, God, and that you show us, God, who you really are, just from day to day.